Imaginary. So this is the newest movie from Blumhouse. This is a bit of a slog, wasn't it?
I think I probably thought it was better than you did, but I still thought it was shit.
I hated it. I absolutely hated this. Awful. Just what a waste of such a great premise. Like, I love my, like, killer toys, you know, your Annabelles and Chuckies. Teddy bear, awesome. And they just don't do anything with that at all.
I think you're being a little harsh. It wasn't good, but I don't think it was dreadful. I think for me, there was a couple of little redeeming features. But yeah, absolutely wasted opportunity. It goes very weird at the end, which I wasn't anticipating.
The dialogue in this is just awful. Like, it's all cliched or like expositional. There's a bit where like the older stepdaughter is meeting the neighbor and he's like, yeah, I'll show you a bar in town where we can get under it. You know, it's just like, ugh.
It's very clunky, isn't it? It's very kind of 80s horror.
Just lazy,
in
I
some
think.
Regards.
People just don't talk like real people do, you know, and I think that just takes you out of the movie.
They don't talk proper like what we do, James. That's the problem.
They don't talk proper, yeah.
Yeah.
But like the twists in this movie, there's kind of a few of them, but I felt like for the most part, I saw them coming a mile away. So there's a neighbor character, like an old lady. She's sort of like, if you've seen Insidious, the Lin Shaye character, who's like the expert on like imaginary friends. Turns out to be evil at the end. Saw that coming a mile away. As soon as they said, oh, she's trying to buy the house.
Even her little monologue at the end is so telegraphed. You know, she's standing there saying, haha, I have won. I am going to be the biggest bad ever. I'm going to live happily ever after. And it's almost like you're saying, yeah, we know any second now you're dead. It's like in a World War II movie, you know, when they say, oh, I'll be right back to see my sweetheart. You know they're dead. It was just so cheesy and clunky. The biggest issue with this movie, James, and I'm sure you'll touch on it, is there's no friggin' horror in it. It's not a horror. I don't know what it is. Nobody dies.
The old lady's the only one to die in the movie at all. Like, it's just gutless, you know? There's no kills in it. There's no, like, really scary moments in it at all. So the main character is like a stepmom who's moving in with her husband and the two daughters to her old house. Instantly, I was like, okay, this imaginary friend that the youngest daughter has was her imaginary friend. That was so obvious. I think the dad is like in a home because of some incident that they had when they were younger. I was like, well, that's going to be tied to the imaginary friend. He says CB, obviously Chauncey Bear. Just so predictable. I think there is a great twist in the middle of the movie. Like, I was nearly falling asleep during this. Like, I was so bored. But there's a moment kind of halfway where it reveals that the stepmom is the only other person that can see the bear. And it's like this moment of, oh yeah, nobody else has really acknowledged specifically that the little girl is carrying around a teddy bear. I thought that was really clever, but then they don't do anything with that at all.
Interesting plot point. Been done before, mine, Sixth Sense kind of thing, you know. But I enjoyed that twist. But I think, again, for me, one of the biggest disappointments with this is I liked the aesthetic of the teddy bear. It was creepy at points when its head would turn or it would be in the room staring. It's got very much that kind of toy, demon-possessed kind of vibe going on. But they do note with that either. And then every now and then they just flip from scary teddy bear to horrific CG blackened out mess, because I couldn't see what the shit was going on the screen. It was just a massive colour, you know, it was awful.
This has kind of become a recurring thing now, I feel like, in horror movies, where they advertise it around a figure. The Nun, too, I think is a great example of that, where we're here to see the Nun. That's the scary thing in this movie, but then they'll just, any excuse to throw another spooky thing instead of the Nun. There's these figures in the background, these kind of black shadow monsters and stuff. That's not what I'm here for. I want to see the fucking teddy bear. I want to see the teddy bear killing people or being spooky.
There's no scene where the teddy bear hurts or attacks anybody. The closest we get is when it scares the stoner kid and you think, oh, it's going to kill him, it's going to kill him. Then we'll get CGI shite and then we'll get, oh, he trips over. I thought he was going to fall down the stairs or something.
Well, yeah, he should have fallen down, died, and it looked like an accident. They can't prove it was the teddy bear. Kill somebody. This is a horror movie. Like, I like that sequence because at least it relates to the teddy bear. I do have a short list of positives for this movie. The bit where the little girl is doing the list and she tries to smack her hand on the nail. That was a tense moment. It's that kind of gut feeling you have. It's like, oh, please don't do it. So I thought that was good. The bit where the real mom, so they're the two little girls' actual mom is like in a psych ward. We never find out why, but she's escaped, and like there's a bit where the stepmom's peeking in the room and she, you know, she thinks she sees a ghost and she gets jumped at. That was cool. The little girl, Alice, I think is the character's name. Really great performance. You know, she has like this kind of therapy sequence. She's doing two voices. Awesome. And there's a bit at the end when we're in this kind of imaginary land, which we'll get to in a minute, where the bear light is moving across the wall. That was cool. But that's just a rip off of The Conjuring 2, where the nun shadow walks over the portrait and the portrait jumps out. So, you know, it was cool imagery anyway.
I think there were elements of the little bear which I thought were creepy at times. I liked the voice. I enjoyed the fact that there is a twist at the ending as well, where you think the film's finished, but it's not. I quite like that. That was quite a good little twist.
I was annoyed because I was hoping it was over. And it felt like, because it was so abrupt, it felt like that might actually be the ending, you know? There's scenes where that, on paper, should be really, really creepy. Like there's a moment where the stepmom is talking to the daughter in the bed and she's like fully covered. Like she hears the actual daughter outside. And it's like, oh, it's actually the teddy bear. You know, I saw that coming a mile away. Like you knew as soon as you can't see it. That should have been like a chill moment, you know, and it just wasn't. It just felt kind of flat to me. I did love how the little ball changed from a happy face to an angry face. That was funny.
Yeah, I like that. What about the end then, James? Because we'll have this, I don't want to say a grounded movie because it's not grounded.
Oh, it's absolute nonsense. Nonsense this movie falls into by the end of it.
But the end just goes total batshit crazy and we get kind of imaginary friend land, don't we? This different dimension where all these imaginary friends live and you don't actually see anything scary other than a few doors open. If it's a land inhabited by lots of imaginary friends, I kind of hoped we might see like a Monsters Inc. kind of thing, you know? Behind each door there's a different something, you know?
They set that up a little early in the movie, like he's going to take you to this place. And I was like, okay, this is where the movie can win me over, like show me something interesting. And it's just this like hazy blue CG hallways. It was just,
Cack. That hazy blueness brings us to my next point. Why is everything so bloody dark, man? I don't know if it's my old eyes.
Couldn't see shit in this movie at all. Yeah, I was squinting and all. It was awful.
Because I was sitting thinking, is this my bloody, eyes failing or what? But I couldn't make head and tail of what was happening for a large proportion of this film.
There was moments where it felt like the bear is in the shot, but it's so dark I just couldn't tell. Like there's moments where someone's coming down the stairs and it feels like there's supposed to be something behind the stairs, but you can't see it. The characters are just terrible in this. I think the older daughter just berates the stepmom. The stepmom is lovely and she just berates her the entire movie, like, oh, you're trying to get in with our family, and then she causes the dipshit boyfriend fella to come over and causes all that crap.
I know you took an immediate dislike to that character, but I didn't mind the family dynamic element of it.
So all imaginary friends are real? Is that what this movie is saying?
I'd lost the will to live with the plot side of things. I think what it was saying was all imaginary friends are real, and if you piss them off or leave them too early, they kind of go mental and hunt you down.
I would say probably 40 to 50% of kids have an imaginary friend at some point in their life.
Yeah.
So there's 4 billion imaginary friends out there.
All waiting in basements as teddy bears to get you.
Nonsense. Absolute bullshit. There was a thing I hated that you said you liked in it, which was like the black-eyed kind of figures.
Yeah, I like that. I found that creepy because I don't like, what's that animated movie? Is it Coraline?
Coraline, yeah.
Coraline, yeah, with the button eyes. I don't like that. It freaks us out. So there's a couple of scenes where the characters kind of turn and they've got blacked out eyes. I find that a little bit creepy.
Is it supposed to be like button eyes like the teddy bear has?
Yeah.
It looked goofy to me. Yeah, wasn't a fan. Yeah.
It was all right. This is not the start of a franchise. Do you know what I mean? This could have been a launch of a really interesting series of films. The concept of imaginary friends being real is great, particularly in a horror context, but this just fell flat in its arse. It was okay. I think I liked it more than you. The best I can sum it up to being is okay.
Dog shit. Humorless, boring, unlikable characters. Just, bleh. So, don't go see it.